Hi, I'm Eileen Roach, and welcome to today's episode of Between Friends. Thank you for joining me for today's lesson on functional embroidery. You're going to learn a lot about how to transform your embroidery machine into kind of a stitching maniac, right? Where it can handle the designer details of a bag that many of us may find challenging if just using normal sewing construction. So I see we have a lot of folks that have joined us from all over. We have Suzanne up in Aurora and Sharon Crean. Thank you for joining us today, Sharon. Yeah, and I'm glad to be back too. I know I was off for 2 weeks, and I'll tell you why in a little while. Well, it was, a family commitment, but I know you were in really good hands with Ashley Jones, and last week she had Reen Wilcoxon here. So lucky, all of us, to have those two ladies fill in. Okay, so let's see. Here's my sister-in-law, Kathy Colvin. Great to have her here. She's up in Minnesota, and always great to have family join us here. So today's class is about functional embroidery, and that is how to use your embroidery machine specifically to make bags. So let's go ahead and start with our PowerPoint so you can get a look and see what I'm talking about. That beautiful bag actually has a name, and that name is Emma Grace. We'll get into that in a little while. But first, I thought I would show you the two examples. So here we have the Emma Grace floral bag with its matching eyeglass case. Now, all of the designer details were done on an embroidery machine. I did use a sewing machine to finish the bag, right, to sew the pieces together. But it's the embroidery machine that created the shape of the bag and added the quilting and also held the straps in place. And it comes in two versions. We have this kind of tartan plaid, just a black and tan neutral color that you can carry all year round and goes with just about anything maybe in your wardrobe. So before we get into those details, let's go ahead to the overhead cam so you can get a look, and I can tell you a little bit of history about functional embroidery. Well, a long, long time ago, in 2007, oh my goodness, that's amazing. I wrote this book called Contemporary Machine Embroidered Accessories. It's out of print now, but that's where I coined the phrase functional embroidery. And I talked about how embroidery is just like you. It's not only beautiful, but it works too. So some of the things that were in here were really quite a lot of fun. Like here we have a belt buckle. Of course, the buckle itself is purchased as a blank, and then we added this beautiful embroidered suede and glued it in place. Here we have corner embellishments and a center medallion that help create the shape of the bag, and the same coordinating design on a belt. And, so there's several different, projects in here that kind of feature that whole technique of functional embroidery. And, goodness, I had a lot of fun doing this book. And I also had the honor of teaching this on Sewing with Nancy. And she loved that process so much that her and I then wrote 3 other books on functional embroidery. And one of them was our first one. And this has several different examples of functional embroidery. First, we have the corner medallions, and they do help create the shape of the bag. Now, this tote bag has, seen some wear and tear, and it uses another brand of foam. So you can see it's kind of collapsed and lost its true shape, but that's okay. And then this applique is covering the end of our strap, right? So it's a regular cotton webbing strap with a ribbon that we stitched on top to make it a little bit more decorative. And of course, a placement guide is stitched first on the bag, and the strap is positioned in place, and then this decorative applique on top. And also the closure was even done in the hoop. in, maybe 2 hoopings where we quilt the outside, and then the lining is added with the, a location for the snap and all that. Boy, when I worked with Nancy, she sure thought of every detail, and like the position of the snap location on the bag, would it close properly and be the right length and so forth. So, we nailed all that. We got that down really well. I was quite proud of that project and those books. We had a lot of fun. And then, lots of in the hoop stuff, right? Well, a coaster is also functional embroidery. I mean, it's, simple, right? You decorate the outer fabric, and then you place the lining fabric right sides together and let the embroidery machine stitch around, turn it right side out. And again, this is functional embroidery. So easy to do, and many of you have already done that. But another really good example of functional embroidery is earrings. And you know that we've done an awful lot of earrings here at Dime. This whole tray of earrings is just one of my collections. And they are beautiful, but they function as jewelry, right? So super fun. Our embroidery machines can do so much, for sure. They can just do so much if we give it the opportunity to, digitize a design and get it in that fashion. Now, let's go ahead and take a look at the actual Emma Grace bags. So the tartan and the floral, so much fun, right? And, coordinating fabric on the bottom, you could use all black, or you could use, well, that's just how I designed it. So it would be like that. I love these straps. Now, these straps are actually stitched to the bag with the embroidery machine. And I'm going to show you that process. But I know, because it's an embroidery machine and it has done a bean stitch in an X pattern with a rectangular outline, this strap is never going to separate from the bag. I have confidence in that. And the bag shape, this beautiful curve, is created by the embroidery machine. So it's, so much fun. So much fun. And of course, you can't, you might want to have eyeglasses inside, or a smaller clutch that coordinates for other necessities. And this design is also created on the embroidery machine. And here you can see, here's 2 panels stitched and already seamed together at the bottom. And, but of course, it's the shape of the outline and it's the quilting that the embroidery machine did. And all I had to do was follow those outlines to cut out the shape and then seam it together. Super easy to do. And, it's just a step-by-step process. So let's go ahead and take a look at, the actual step outs. Now, Kathy Beck wants to know, what size hoop does that purse need? Well, believe it or not, you can do that purse in a giant hoop, like a 10 by 16, in 1 hooping for the front and 1 hooping for the back and another hooping for the bottom. You can do it in 2 hoopings in an 8 by 12 hoop and 3 hoopings on a 6 by 10. So you do need that length. We couldn't get it small enough to fit in a 5 by 7, but many people have a 6 by 10. So that's the size that you need to do that bag. Okay, so let's see. Oh, here's Reen. She's popping in. Nice to have you back. Thanks for watching us today. And she said she's made the Emma Grace and she loves it. Great structure, nice detail, and perfect size. I do love the size. It's roomy enough, to carry a giant iPhone like I have, because I'm old and I want to see it, and a wallet and a hairbrush, and but it's not so big that, we tend to fill the empty canvas that we carry. So I find the bigger the bag, the more stuff that winds up in my bag and actually becomes too heavy to carry. And also, like, I can't find what I need when, if it's full of stuff. So this size makes me control what I'm carrying so I don't go to excess. And it's first off, it's lightweight. It's as light as air because it's just our sew any shape foam and cotton fabric inside and out. So it's nice and soft and lightweight. And because it's our foam, we can carry it, we can put it in a suitcase like this if you need to shove it in a suitcase. If you're like me and you have to stand at the gate at the airplane and marry all your bags, right? Because you're only allowed to carry 2. Well, I can roll this up and put this into my luggage, and then, you know, it'll pop right back out into shape. And I love that. Oh, there's Deborah Jones. She's made the tartan, and I've seen her carry it right here to the office. So this is her favorite. And it is quite fun. We all love the shape. We all love the shape. Yeah, super fun. Okay, so now let's kind of get into some of the details. So it's the foam, you know, that you're going to start with. And this collection, this project kit, comes with everything that you need, starting with the foam and the digital design that you need to cut it out so that the foam is not inside the seam allowance. Imagine if you were trying to insert a zipper with the foam in the seam allowance. Have you ever tried to do that? You might curse a little bit at your sewing machine. I'm guilty of that. So I decided no foam in the seam allowance. It's not necessary, and it's just cumbersome. So that's why there's a digital file for the foam. Now, this image here just shows you the single file for the 10 by 16. But like I said earlier, there are files for the 6 by 10 and the 8 by 12 hoop. So everybody is covered. Now, let's take a look at that actual embroidery design. It looks a little complicated, but if you just take a moment to look at the design, first off, let's ignore all those tall vertical lines. They're the quilting lines, right? We don't really care about them in the beginning. They're going to decorate our bag. But those other lines, the first color that we stitch is going to provide the alignment mark, the placement guide for the foam, for the outer fabric, and it's even going to tell you where to place that black stripe on the, on the hoop stabilizer, so that it is in the same location all the way around, right? And that you have enough fabric. And of course, centers are important and all of that. So, okay, let's see. Oh, here's our 8 by 12. This is the 2 embroidery designs. It's going to have a left and a right. Now, this is for the bag back. The bag front is a little bit different because it has, well, let's call them wings, and that allows us to have a little detail that folds over the zipper. All right, so our seam is really over here. It's not directly underneath the zipper teeth itself. It's all thought out for you. You don't have to worry about a thing. Okay, and here it is for our 3 hooping, our 6 by 10. So we're going to start in the center, and then you'll move to the left and move to the right. So super easy. Okay, here's my foam already cut out. And I'm going to show you that a little in a couple slides coming forward. But notice there are alignment marks, right? There's a stitch center, top and bottom. And that's there for you so that you don't have any trouble aligning anything. Now I've hooped my stabilizer, which guess what comes in the kit? Everything comes in the kit. Stabilizer, foam, hardware, fabric, you'll see. Now, see all those lines? We have the outer line that will eventually become our cut line. The inner line is our sew line. It's also the placement guide for the foam. And we have a vertical stitch alignment mark for the center of our fabric. And then we have that other little line at the bottom. And that is for the horizontal center of the bag. Doesn't quite look like it, but now, then we place our foam and we stitch all of these straight lines. They look a little funny, right? But you know what? They are buried later on underneath the quilting. You're never going to see them. They're buried right underneath the quilting. So let's see. Patty Downer wants to know, what is the finished size of these bags? I never remember that. So let's go ahead and measure right now. They are 10 by like 9 inches tall, and it is 4 inches deep, 4 inches deep. So they're a nice size. They're really a lovely size, even for my giant iPhone. Okay. All right. So back to PowerPoint. So now you can see that my foam is tacked down, and that's all we care about. Then we're going to cover it with our fabric. I use a little tape. See that painter's tape? just to hold it. And the quilting is all done. So, and I encourage you not to resize any of these files, because if you do that, they may not all fit together as you assemble the three pieces. So don't resize, just embrace this size. And it's been digitized so that the quilting begins at the back of the hoop, right? The top of the hoop, and works towards you. So you're sitting at the machine, and you could just kind of make sure that that fabric is just, being pushed towards you, right? When you're quilting, sometimes fabric wants to shift around a little bit. Well, this has been digitized so that doesn't happen. Okay, next up, placement guide for that strap. And of course, instructions for how to make those straps are included. Strap fabric is included. Decor bond to stiffen that fabric is also included. And you'll stitch that placement guide. Now, I would suggest stitching it in, maybe that sea foam color, not the khaki green, but I did that so you could see it. And then we're just going to place the end of our strap right on top of that placement mark. Now, I have made my straps, right? And I do make them on a sewing machine. Of course, it's a lot of time. Well, not a lot of time, but you cut the straps and then you press them and apply the decor bond to the wrong side. And you do that at your ironing board. And then you top stitch the edges. That's what you have to do with your sewing machine. And then they're prepped and they're ready. And I do that. That's the first thing I do. I just get that out of the way, right? When I'm going to make one of these bags, and I have made at least a dozen, if not 15. First thing I do is make the straps, because then they're set aside and they're all ready. And then I can work through the bag as I want. So I have that in place. You could tape it down. You can just hold it in place with your fingers, and then we stitch it. And it's going to hold it perfectly in place, just like I showed you on the finished bag. It's not going to separate. It's a beautiful thing. That is functional embroidery. Okay, so what's in the kit? Well, there are 2 fabric panels, and I personally designed these myself. I'm really quite proud of that. I drew the flowers, added the interesting background behind that big floral medallion for the front and back, and then some coordinating prints for the lining. And I made sure that the lining was a light color, so that when you open your bag and you're digging for your keys or your purse, you can see what's inside. How many of you, raise your hand if you have a black interior in your bag? Oh my, I know it's so hard to find the goods inside the bag if it's a black interior. So I made that tiny little calico print. Nobody's going to see it but you. And then I made another coordinating print for the pocket, so that was easily identifiable. And that's the image on the top right corner. And then the eyeglass case are 2 more prints. And then that solid khaki color is the strap. And the pockets is the bottom strips on the bottom. So the tartan plaid, you also get the tartan plaid in this kit. So you can make 2 and, make whichever one you want to start with. So the outer bag is the tartan with the black strip in the center. And then we have the lining, we have pockets and eyeglass case and so forth. Terry Moffat says, what's inside your purse is always a mystery. I agree. It is. I've been making purses for years, and I love to make purses. My mother, my parents had 6 daughters. So, imagine all the stuff my mom had to carry. And my father would say to her, he'd pick up her handbag and he'd say, Betty, is there a cinder block in there? And every time I make a bag or I'm filling my bag, I think of that line, because it just cracks me up. We are guilty, right? We all carry way too much stuff in those bags. Okay, now take a look at the key that's printed on the panels. They're color-coded by, all the red is for the bag and the blue is for the eyeglass case. There's a coordinating eyeglass case for each of the bags. And they also have a little tab. See the E and the D? That connects to that fabric section on the panel. So that's telling you exactly what piece it is. So I encourage you to cut apart the panel, but don't cut off those tabs. Leave them on there. And then, frankly, you don't really even have to cut them off until you're actually making the bag and assembling it later. It's just a good way to keep everything identified. Okay. And well, where else would we go for hardware but Sally Tomato? So we have these gorgeous zippers, and you get two of them. You get the khaki, or is that tan? I think she calls it khaki, and the black. And there are 3 yards of zipper tape and 9 zipper pulls. So it is just beautiful. Now, GB Woman wants to know, is the zipper added on the embroidery machine or sewing machine? It is added on the sewing machine because it's a curved shape. So I haven't figured out how you would add a zipper to a curved shape on an embroidery machine, but it's quite doable on a sewing machine. And there are excellent instructions on how to do that in the included instructions that come in the kit. So have confidence in that. You should be just fine. Okay, it also is going to come with a whole package of Sew Any Shape foam, because I know you're going to need it for both bags. So we gave you ample. And I'm going to show you how you can save on the foam by really cheating the sections together in the hoop. I'll show you that in a sec. The digital files are key to this. They are absolutely key. And Kathy Beck wants to know, is this available as a pattern or just a kit? No, it is only available as a kit, because all of this was designed to coordinate with all the parts. Now, after you purchase it and you make one of the bags, you could then move on to your own fabric. And I have done that myself, but I really wanted people to be successful in this. So that's why we are including the whole kit. I just thought it was really important. So again, you're going to get the large file for 10 by 16, the 2 files for 8 by 12, and 3 for the 6 by 10. Super fun. Okay. When you download the designs with your purchase, you are going to find folders that specifically call out your hoop size. So if I were you, I would ignore the other folders. So if you have a machine that has the largest capacity of an 8 by 12 hoop, then I would only open the 8 by 12 Emma and the foam for 8 by 12. Why confuse yourself, right? Don't even bother with the other ones. Just focus on the ones for your hoop. Now, the PDFs call out all of those hoop sizes, right? And tell you exactly which ones you will use. Everybody will use the assembly, and everyone will use the start here. And it's a good idea to use the start here. And let's see, Carolyn Hauber wants to know, are there inside pockets? You bet there are. So let's take a look at those inside pockets. We'll go over to the overhead. And there is fabric that is a strip and instructions on how you make the pockets. You apply them, obviously, to the lining before any construction takes place. And there's enough for 2 pockets, and then you can decide how you want to stitch them down. On my one side, I have 2 pockets, and on this one, I have a wider one and then a narrower one, and I like to use that for like pens, tall things like that. So super easy to do. Oh, and let me show you the kit itself, just so you can see, oh my goodness, all the goods you get in this kit. And it's so big, I can barely get it underneath the camera. But here it is. You're going to get a whole roll of no-show light in a 20-inch size. So no matter what hoop you have, it'll be ample for that. Here's your 2 zipper packages, the khaki and the black. Your fabric panel is in here. And then there are feet that are inside that fabric panel bag. They are right inside there, and you're going to get 2 packs of feet. You're going to get a nickel color and then also the gold. So, I mean, you are all set up. I'm telling you, you're going to have everything you need. And of course, on the back is our Sew Any Shape foam. So you get all of that. So Jane Jarvis wants to know, are there zipper pockets? I did not include instructions for zipper pockets, but if you are proficient at doing that, you have enough zipper tape to add zippers, and you have enough pulls to add zippers to your lining. Let me see if one of these bags has a zipper tape. No, it doesn't. Okay, but yeah, I have done it on one bag. So let's see. Oh. And let's see, Francis, you want to see this from the beginning? Well, as soon as this broadcast ends, Francis, you can watch the replay either on YouTube or on Facebook. So feel free to do that. And let's see, Brenda Snyder, you want to know, are the bag feet easy to use? Of course they are. And there's great instructions in the downloadable materials on how to apply the feet. I even have a tip on there on how you use a straight pin so that you don't rip through your bag, but stay tuned for that. Okay, so let's see. Cutting the foam. I thought I would show you a good cheater way to cut the foam with your embroidery machine. So I literally, I hoop the absolute edge of my foam and I stitch my first file, which is either the front or the back of the bag, whatever one you decide, but it's the foam file. It's not the outer bag itself. It's, there's a separate file for the foam because remember, I said earlier, there's no foam in the seam allowance. So that's why there's a separate file for it. And then I just advance the foam in that monster hoop, which is on sale this week. Do you know that? You can still take advantage of those monster hoop prices all through June. We only have another week left. So if you've had your eye on a snap hoop monster or a sticky hoop, now's the time. They are at a great price. So as I am stitching my second one, I scoot it over as close as I can to the first one. I don't want to waste any of that foam, right? So don't worry about that. So let's see. Sandy Martinez says, did you cover the feet with the Shape Flex foam so they don't poke through the fabric? Oh, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, you go right all the way through because there's, here, I have an image coming up. So hang tight, Sandy. Good question, though. Absolutely. Okay, and here is a question. And someone's answered it. Absolutely. Wonderful. Thank you. Okay, so let's see. Stitching the bag sections. So no measuring is required of you at all. I've done all of that for you. The only thing you have to do is cut your outer panels in half, okay? And so right at that black, in the middle of that black seam line, because it's one big piece. You'll cut it in half, and then you're going to fold each of those halves into quarters and mark those quarters with straight pins. Well, really just the vertical one, to be honest with you. And you're going to do the same thing, or you'll do it in quarters and mark the horizontal marks on the floral bag. And then we're going to retrieve your embroidery design for the outer bag, right? And here I'm showing the large design for the 10 by 16. And I'm going to stitch color 1. And then I'm going to stitch color 2 after I place my foam, and it'll tack it down. And then I'm going to fold my outer fabric at those center marks and align those center marks with the stitched placement guides on the stabilizer. That's all you got to do. And then I'm just going to fold that down, of course, so that right side is showing, stitch the rest of the colors. And there I have my quilting done. I have my outer cut line is visible and my straps are attached. How wonderful. I mean, it just is such a great feeling because when you take it out of the hoop, you are really close to assembly. You just now have to do the other side of the bag and the bottom. Woohoo! So let's see. Oh, Dawn, that's very kind words. Thank you. She says the whole pattern has been well thought and out, and it goes together really quickly. It does. It looks complex, but it really does go together in an afternoon. And let's see, Terry Harrison. So the sale price for the kit is this whole week. So you'll have till next Friday. You have a whole week for it. But Monster Hoop is also at the same time on sale. So take advantage of both for sure. Okay, what is next? Now we cut out our front and back on the outer line. And now you can really begin to see the shape taking place. And of course, we're going to stitch our bottom, which is another file, no big deal. But you use the outer bag to cut your lining. You don't need to use your embroidery machine for that. You're just going to lay that outer bag on the lining and cut right on that outside. And there you have, your lining. Okay, and the bottom is all done and lining is in place. Now you'll add your pockets to the lining. That's important. That's the next step. And then you're going to piece it together. Here's the feet. Now notice the feet are going, they're on the right side of the bag, right? That's where the post is, or the foot, I guess we should call it. Let's go to the overhead cam so we can get a better look at that. Here, we'll use this one. Okay, so as you can see, you have the feet. It's like a little biscuit foot, right? And so you're going to pierce these prongs through the outer fabric, through the sew-any shaped foam, and through that stabilizer that was in the hoop. And then you will open up your prongs just like I showed you on that PowerPoint. So let's go back to PowerPoint so you can see that. And you'll notice that the wings, let's call those the wings or the prongs that open up and hold the foot in place. Notice how they are going horizontally. We don't want them pointing to the seam allowance, at the short end, because eventually it could poke through. So just pay attention to how you insert them so that the prongs are parallel with the long edge of the bag bottom. All of those instructions are in the downloadable fabric. Why doesn't the fabric go all the way to the top of the foam? I purposely did not include foam all the way to the edge of the fabric because I don't want foam in my seam allowance as I try to stitch those bulky parts of the bag, right? Your bag front, back, bottom, zipper, and so forth. Excess foam in there can just create frustration for you. It doesn't add strength to the bag or anything of that nature. So the beauty of making a bag such as this with your embroidery machine is you can totally control that. And these digitized files are precision files. So it is going to be a perfect 1/4 inch, or it's actually a 1/2 inch inside of the outer edge of the bag. Believe me, you'll be happy. You'll be happy that you're not fighting that. Okay, there is a fantastic tip on how to add the zipper pull to the zipper on those tapes, which I know many people get frustrated for that. But I have a great tip on using a dessert fork on how to do that. And that's included in the download, in the instructions. I love the clips. That's why I use those clips. Instead of pins, you don't want to fuss with pins at this point. It's bulk, right? Handbags are bulky. And, we want our experience at the machine to be as comfortable as possible. I hate to fight with my project. As I am progressing in life, shall we say, and my hands are, I use them a lot. So I try to be as gentle on them as I can. And bag making and, having multiple layers, heavy foam and all of that can be destructive to my hands. So that's why I try to take all of those elements out that I can. And clips are another one of those reasons. And then you're just going to sew, use a seam allowance, a zipper foot, and you're going to sew that in place. And then that shows you where to sew from point A to point B. Then you add the zipper, and now we're going to add our bottom. And everything you just mark with, find the centers, find the centers. That's all you want to do is find the centers. And if you need help, there is add-on video that you could purchase separately for a very reasonable price of $14.99 that I walk you through every single step. Now, the printed instructions are clearly illustrated with beautiful photography, but I know many people like to do a work along via video. And we just felt that it would be best to offer that to you so that you could have the luxury of following along via video. But we also know that many dealers want to teach this class, so that's why we didn't actually include it in the download, but it's a very reasonable price. Okay, so what is that price? Well, everything I just showed you, all the digital files, 2 eyeglass frames, 6 yards of zipper tape, 18 different pulls, 8 feet, everything you need, the 2 different panels, and a whole package of sew any shape foam are included for $182.92, and it's on sale. So it is pretty much a bargain. If you were to go and buy all these materials separately, I know it would cost you more than that. So we felt that it was just wise to put it all together and have you be as successful as can be. So I had so much fun making the Emma Grace and designing it. So maybe you're wondering, why do we name it Emma Grace? Well, I made this bag last year. And if any of you remember, my first grandchild, Emma Grace, was born in April 2022, which is just about the same time I gave birth to this bag. So we needed a name, and I thought, oh, well, wouldn't that be great to name it the Emma Grace bag? So that's why we named it the Emma Grace bag. And she's a year old now, and I can't wait to make one for her and watch her carry it as she gets a little bit bigger. Right now, that would overpower her, but yeah, it's so much fun. Nancy Zeman and I have made bags for years and years. My goodness, like I said, our first time I did it was in 2007 on Sewing with Nancy. We had so much fun. We went on to write 3 more books on bag making. And of course, Nancy did so many bags of her own. So it's not something that's new to me, but I do love functional embroidery. I think that we can use our embroidery machine to handle a lot of the tricky kind of tailoring tasks that are involved in bag making, and even, shirts and so forth. And, I'll be showing you some other ways to do functional embroidery coming in July, which is so much fun. So let's see. Dolores, is the video downloadable? Can one of my team members maybe help with that? You do. I mean, it's online. I don't know if you download it or you just go and watch it there. So somebody will help me. Let's see. And Nancy Crean, Sharon Crean, you say you have seen us on Nancy. Yeah, Nancy's sewing show. Nancy would have been 69 the other day on the summer solstice. So anyway, we always thinking of Nancy, right? She's dear to my heart and always in my sewing room with me, as I know she is in many of you if you have tools that she created and patterns and so forth. So it's a fun moment down memory lane to remember functional embroidery and keep her in mind. So I know that last week you enjoyed on Facebook Live Between Friends with Ashley Jones. Well, she'll be back on July 18th. That's a Tuesday, doing her software success. She does a bang-up job with that software. My goodness, that woman is a wizard, just a wizard. So she will be doing, I'm not sure what she's going to be doing on the 18th, but anyway, she needs a little bit of a break after filling in for me and doing her own software success last week. So we'll be seeing her back on July 18th. And if you'd like to be notified, you can, this is how you can be notified so you never miss an episode of Software Success or Between Friends.
In this video, we'll show you how to subscribe to a YouTube channel and follow a Facebook page through your phone. Let's start with YouTube. First, open your YouTube app on your phone. Once you're on your home page, search for the Designs in Machine Embroidery in the search bar at the top of the screen. Click on it and go to the channel page. Once on the channel page, click the subscribe button. And that's it. You're now subscribed to the channel. Now, let's move on to Facebook. First, open your Facebook app. Once on your home page, search for Designs in Machine Embroidery in the search bar at the top of the screen. Once on the profile page, click the three dots and select the follow button. And that's it. You're now following the page. Thanks for watching.
And I hope that you'll subscribe to our YouTube channel and like us on Facebook, because the more you do that, if you're not already a subscriber, we miss out. So that encourages us to continue to provide great educational content for you. So please do that. We would ask for that. So let's see. Some nice comments about Nancy. Christine Casilia says that Nancy was the one who got you interested in sewing. I believe that. Most certainly I learned to sew from Nancy. And Barbara George used to watch her every Saturday. Yeah, I know. We all learned an awful lot from Nancy Zeman. It's amazing how quickly time flies. So let's see. Do you get each of the fabric in the kit? Mary, you do. You get both panels. You get the floral panel and the tartan panel. So the kit comes with both. And also 2 eyeglass case frames, so you can make 2 entire sets. One both for yourself, or maybe one to give away, whatever you so desire. So really fun. And Ann Philbeck, you still watch Nancy if you're lucky enough. We don't have her here, but I watch her online. And I'll tell you, sometimes when I am struggling for a sewing technique, I go to Wisconsin Public Television and search Sewing with Nancy, because all of those videos are still there. And, sometimes I pop up on her show, and goodness, I was really young then. Time flies. Time sure does fly. So let's see. Okay, next week I am back at 1 o'clock on the 29th, and it's the last Thursday of the month. So, we're going to be doing a project, an on the house reveal, and drum roll, I have Sue Brown from OML Embroidery going to join me for that session. I haven't had Sue on in a really long time, so I'm super excited to see Sue Brown join me. And I know all of you OML fans or friends or gang, whatever you want to call yourselves, will enjoy seeing her. Okay, so let's see. Kathy Beck says, what was the price of that kit again? So the price is $182, and remember, it comes with everything. The 2 panels, 2 eyeglass cases, 9 yards of zipper tape. It is just awesome. And Deb, I'm so glad you think it's beautiful and functional. That's what it's all about, right? These embroidery machines can do wonders, So I know, and here's Sue Brown. She's really excited for next week, Sue Wilson Brown. And yeah, we can't wait to have her here. It's been too long, Sue. So she'll join me. That'll be super fun. So I know many of you are waiting for On the House, which we are just about to reveal. So let's take a look. Oh, so many nice comments to Sue Brown. Isn't that lovely? Jackie Cheek and Cindy King and Brenda Stone. So anyway, here is your embroidery design of the week. Remember, we had a baby theme all month, and we're going to continue that next week. I think you're going to love it. We're going to be stitching on paper next week. That will be a lot of fun. It just is 7 different colors that make up that beautiful design. If it's not a girl, you can choose blue for sure to celebrate the announcement of a little boy. But isn't that lovely? A parachuting baby, you know, with hearts aflow, just lovely. So I hope that you'll enjoy that design and that you'll join me here next week for stitching on paper with Sue Brown. We're going to have a lot of fun, I'll tell you. And please take advantage of this week's special. This is our Emigre's handbag, cut, embroider, and sew. Everything you need is in that kit. And I know you'll have success, and I can't wait to see your bags. Thanks for joining me today. See you next week.